Welcome back to the Injury Prone Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Edwin Porras, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Medical Analyst at FantasyPoints.com. I'm solo today. We're going to call this the walk-in clinic. We're going to be creative and fun and et cetera, et cetera. This is meant to be a fast-hitting, quick recap of the significant fantasy football relevant injuries with recommended transactions that are associated. And then we will keep it moving from there. We're going to try to keep it as quick as possible, as brief as possible, as actionable as possible. So here we go. Obviously can't bury the lead last night. Aaron Rodgers, the Jets have confirmed, or at least to Adam Schefter believes that the Jets believe that he has in fact ruptured his Achilles. This was a kind of a weird one. It was difficult to see until you got the right angle, but you did see his calf sort of curl up and the muscle curl up to the top of the muscle itself. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Nothing to joke about. Very serious. He's 40 years old. In other scenarios, other instances, I might say, hey, if they make it to the Super Bowl or an extremely deep run, there is somewhat of a chance with a mini repair, what they call, of the Achilles, that he could be back out there. But considering he's 40 years old, it's really hard to say how healthy that tissue is at this point, just given aging and everything else. So obviously we'll wait until final confirmation, but Adam Schefter has put it out there. And usually when Adam Schefter puts something out there, he's pretty confident in it. It's super unfortunate for the Jets and super unfortunate for Aaron Rodgers, obviously. So other than that, fantasy relevance, going to make it tough on Breece Hall. Going to make it tough on Garrett Wilson. So you can't really do anything about it. Just hold tight for now. Hang out with those guys on your roster. Breece Hall obviously looked extremely explosive last night, which is exactly what we were looking for, exactly what we anticipated. Keep him on your roster. Keep Garrett Wilson on your roster. There's not much else we can do at this point until we get more news. Another injury that may have flown under the radar a little bit is Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler took a carry in the third quarter and came up limping. He gets lost in the scrum. And now, yesterday, Monday, Brandon Staley confirmed that Austin Eckler is dealing with a bit of an ankle issue. That's all he called it, and said that his practice status for this week is unknown. Obviously, we need to get more information about the ankle before we can jump to any conclusions, because the video is extremely unclear. He just kind of, falls into a scrum. There is a chance, and I'm going to say there's a chance because I don't know for a fact, that he has some sort of high ankle issue going on because his right foot gets trapped underneath him. Again, I'm not confirming that, but there is a chance. Ultimately, what happens is Austin Eckler might end up practicing, being fine, and this is all sort of just panicking for no reason. But the associated transaction here is Josh Kelly should absolutely be on your roster, especially if you roster Austin Eckler. But if you're looking for some upside, go grab Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly saw, I believe it was 9 carries through 3 quarters. And then after Austin Eckler got hurt at the very end of the third quarter, he actually saw another 7 carries and a touchdown. So that's all per Fantasy Points data suite. So Austin Eckler, potential ankle injury, go grab Josh Kelly. They can actually run the ball this year. Another running back that we're going to talk about, obviously, is Aaron Jones, who had a monster week. And Aaron Jones is now dealing with some hamstring tightness. He didn't come back after that hamstring issue. You saw him pull up on that touchdown pass at the very end, grabbed his left hamstring. You saw him getting stretched out on the sideline. Obviously, he's giving thumbs up and everything seemed fine. The Packers went on to roll. So there was no need to keep him in the game, but there's also, you just want to keep an eye on it. There's no real actionable item here because A.J. Dillon is probably rostered in the league that you're in. But if you don't have A.J. Dillon, or if for some reason he's not rostered, go grab him. You're not going to spend a ton on A.J. Dillon at this point, but for a 28, 29-year-old running back, a hamstring strain is not something to play with. So hopefully hopefully Aaron Jones comes back from this hamstring tightness, cramp, whatever you want to call it, and is fine. But he is at risk for the rest of the series. For the rest of the season, Aaron Jones is with the highest risk of re-injury coming next week. And if I said Aaron Rodgers instead of Aaron Jones at the beginning of this, I'm sorry. It's a little early. I need my coffee. So another guy that you're going to want to monitor here off of week 1 is moving on to wide receivers, Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson ruled out with a hamstring strain. I put this out on Twitter, and this is an injury-prone season-long draft guide. Deontay Johnson has a possibility, has potential to miss next week. If you look at data from the last 5 years, this is since 2018, in wide receivers who average at least 18 points per game per season and have a hamstring injury, you see 52% of them miss 0 games, and you see 21% of them miss 1 game. So there's got to be some sort of middle ground here for Deontay Johnson. He doesn't really have an injury history of hamstring strains, so we're going to hope for the best and just watch his practice status. No real associated transaction here other than maybe grab a wide receiver off the waiver wire, the best wide receiver that you can identify, because there is a chance that we don't see Deontay Johnson for another week, potentially 2, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that quite yet. So hang on to Deontay Johnson. That offense looked really bad, but hopefully they can figure some things out. The last few here, if I mentioned Jacoby Myers, I suppose first on his own, he is unfortunately in the concussion protocol. We know based on data that concussions are extremely difficult to predict. It's really hard to know whether a guy will or will not play in the first week after a concussion. There'll be more. I'll put more out on Jacoby Myers once we have a little bit more information. But generally speaking, when guys are in concussion protocol, there's about a 50-50 shot that they will return to play in the following week. So that's just something to monitor. Another thing, sort of loose ends to tie up here, Mike Williams, obviously, and Tyler Lockett were both sort of screened, if you want to call it, for concussions. Mike Williams was definitely taken to the medical tent. So even though they weren't diagnosed with a concussion and even though they returned, they are at a higher volatility because they took a shot to the head. That's just the bottom line. Concussion protocol does not catch everything